Good morning and welcome staff, students, and special guests. Thank you for being here this morning as we gather and pause to collectively remember the women and men that have served and died for our country in the past 122 years. Today is about remembering the men and women who served and died for our country in the Boer War, World War I, World War II, the Korean War, the war in Afghanistan, and various peacekeeping missions. Remembrance Day is one shared by all Canadians. Every Canadian benefits from the sacrifices made by those who served before and by those who continue to serve our wonderful nation. This morning we will take time to remember. Please respectfully follow the guide being presented to you by your teacher as you listen to the audio podcast of this service. Now will you please rise and stand for O Canada.
On 11th November 1999, Terry Kelly was in a drugstore which announced over the public address system that they would be observing the 2 minutes of silence at 11 a.m. for remembrance. Kelly observed the silence, but noticed a man in the queue in front of him demanding that the clerk run his shopping through during the silence. Kelly also noted that the man's daughter chastised him afterwards by saying, "Daddy, you were supposed to be quiet through that time." Kelly's anger about the lack of respect led him to write "A Pittance of Time" as a plea for people to observe the 2-minute silence on Remembrance Day.
Good morning, shoppers. At 11 o'clock on this 11th day of November, we'd like to invite you to share with us 2 minutes of silence in honor of our veterans.
They fought and some died for their homeland. They fought and some died, now it's our land. Look at his little child, there's no fear in her eyes. Could he not show respect for other dads who have died? Take 2 minutes, would you mind? It's a pittance of time for the boys and the girls who went over. In peace may they rest, may we never forget why they died. It's a pittance of time. God forgive me for wanting to strike him. Give me strength so as not to be like him. My heart pounds in my breast, fingers pressed to my lips. My throat wants to bawl out, my tongue barely resists. But 2 minutes I will bide. It's a pittance of time for the boys and the girls who went over. In peace may they rest, may we never forget why they died. It's a pittance of time. Read the letters and poems of the heroes at home. They have casualties, battles, and fears of their own. There's a price to be paid if you go, if you stay. Freedom's fought for and won in numerous ways. Take 2 minutes, would you mind? It's a pittance of time for the boys and the girls all over. May we never forget our young become vets at the end of the line. It's a pittance of time. It takes courage to fight in your own war. It takes courage to fight someone else's war. Our peacekeepers tell of their own living hell. They bring hope to foreign lands that hate mongers can't kill. Take 2 minutes, would you mind? It's a pittance of time for the boys and the girls who go over. In peacetime our best still don battle dress and lay their lives on the line. It's a pittance of time. In peace may they rest, lest we forget why they died. Take a pittance of time.
In gratitude of silence, silent now the soldiers sleep, their tails long laid to rest. I knew them not, yet still I weep, and place a poppy o'er my breast. There were husbands, brothers, fathers, sons, so valiantly they fought, on shore stained red, on hands and knees, it was our freedom that they sought. Courageously they stood their ground, but freedom carries a cost. Thousands of men were wounded and countless lives were lost. So in gratitude of silence, and all those who have served, sleep now, you have earned it, your peace is well deserved.
Oh, I have slipped the surly bonds of earth, and danced the skies on laughter-silvered wings. Sunward I've climbed and joined the tumbling mirth of sun-split clouds, and done 100 things you have not dreamed of. Wheeled and soared and swung high in the sunlit silence. Hovering there, I've chased the shouting wind along and flung my eager craft through footless halls of air. Up, up the long, delirious burning blue, I've topped the wind-swept heights with easy grace, where never lark or ever eagle flew, and, well, with silent, lifting mind I've trod the high, untrespassed, and sanctity of space, put out my hand and touched the face of God.
This is the story of Sadako and 1,000 paper cranes. Sadako Sasaki was born in Hiroshima, Japan in 1943. She was a baby when the atom bomb exploded. Until she was 11, she grew strong and healthy.
One day after a relay race at school, Sadako felt strange and dizzy. She shook her head and the dizziness went away. But it didn't stay away. She continued to have dizzy spells until one day at school she collapsed. She was taken to the hospital.
Sadako had leukemia, the atom bomb disease. When she was in the hospital, her closest friend, Chizuko, came to visit and told her the old Japanese legend of the crane. A crane is said to live 1,000 years. If a sick person folds 1,000 paper cranes, the gods will grant her wish and make her healthy again.
With courage and faith, Sadako began folding cranes. Everyone saved paper for Sadako's good luck cranes. Her father saved scraps from his barber shop. Shizuko brought colored paper from her class, the bamboo class. Even Nurse Yasunaga gave Sadako the wrappings of medicine packages.
Sadako folded cranes every day, hoping to reach 1,000. She made it to number 644. Sadako Sasaki died on October 25, 1955.
Her classmates folded 356 cranes so that 1,000 were buried with Sadako. In a way, she got her wish. She will live on in the hearts of people for a long time.
After the funeral, the bamboo class collected Sadako's letters and published them in a book. They called it Kakishi, after the doll they had given to Sadako while she was in the hospital. The book was sent around Japan, and soon everyone knew about Sadako and her 1,000 paper cranes.
Sadako's friends began to dream of building a monument to her and all children who were killed by the atom bomb. Young people throughout the country helped collect money for the project. Finally, their dream came true. In 1958, the statue was unveiled in the Hiroshima Peace Park. There is Sadako standing on top of a granite mountain of paradise. She is holding a golden crane and outstretched hands.
A folded crane club was organized in her honor. Members still place thousands of paper cranes beneath a statue of Sadako on August 6th Peace Day. They make a wish too. Their wish is engraved on the base of the statue. It says, "This is our cry, this is our prayer, peace in the world."
Why are they selling poppies, Mummy? Selling poppies in town today. The poppies, child, are flowers of love, for the men who marched away. But why have they chosen a poppy, Mummy? Why not a beautiful rose? Because my child, men fought and died in the fields where the poppies grow. But why are the poppies so red, Mummy? Why are the poppies so red? Red is the color of blood, my child, the blood that our soldiers shed. The heart of the poppy is black, Mummy. Why does it have to be black? Black, my child, is a symbol of grief for the men who never came back. But why, Mummy, are you crying so? Your tears are giving you pain. My tears are your fears for my child. For the world is forgetting again.
In Flanders fields, the poppies blow between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place. And in the sky, the larks, still bravely singing, fly scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe, to you from failing hands we throw the torch, be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, through poppies grow in Flanders fields.
The Honor Roll. Please stand and remain standing until the end of the reveille. 1914 to 1918. Lieutenant N. Henderson. Private F.W. Maunder. Private C.R. Box. Private C. Emerson. Private G. Berauger. Private B. Halstead. Private R. Arnold. Private C. E. Harris. 1939 till 1945. Flight Officer R. L. Green. Flight Lieutenant G. B. Sweeney. Lieutenant Sergeant F. W. Burton. Private C. A. J. Gagnon. Private W. M. Tykrib. Private D. H. Wood. Flight Officer R. A. Branser.
They shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not bury them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
As the stars that shall be bright when we are dust, moving in marches upon the heavenly plain, as the stars that are starry in the time of our darkness, to the ends they remain. We will remember them.
They were young, as we are young. They served, giving freely of themselves. To them we pledge, amid the winds of time, to carry their torch and never forget. We will remember them.
Good morning, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Marvin Allen, and I am representing the Royal Canadian Legion, Neville Branch 328 this morning. Today, I will be speaking about a veteran from who served Canada in the Second World War. His name is Private Fred Albert Sherman. Now, they always call him Fred, and in all his documents, in all his military documents, it just says Fred. So I'm sure his name was probably Frederick, but we're going to call him Fred. He was born in Vanguard on July 22nd, 1920. His parents were Amos and Alice Sherman. They were both born in Orillia, Ontario. The Shermans came to Saskatchewan as pioneer homesteaders in 1909. Their farm was 3 miles west of Vanguard and then 1/2 mile south of the James Wharton farm. The Shermans built a beautiful brick house, and they worked hard to establish their farm. Their oldest son, Charles William Sherman, was born in 1916, and Fred Albert was born in 1920. You cannot understand Fred unless you understand the financial crash of 1929 and the dirty 30s that followed. The dry years of the 1930s came year after year. There were no crops. There was no money. The dust blew day after day, and only Russian thistles grew. Fred grew up poor, and he saw his parents suffer heartbreak and loss. Fred was a man of few words. He spoke little and did not share his feelings. This characteristic of speaking seldom was made stronger by his experiences during the war. When Fred was a young man of 18 or 19, he left Saskatchewan in order to find work in Ontario. There were no jobs to be found in Saskatchewan, and his brother Charles was already in Ontario. We do not know what work Fred did in Ontario, but we know he joined the Royal Canadian Army Service Corps on February 10th, 1942, in Ontario. This means that Fred served in the transport division of the Canadian Army, and his job was to transport Canadian soldiers and military officers during the war. Perhaps this is where Fred received his training as a mechanic. Before he left his home at Vanguard, his mother gave him an 1882 U.S. silver dollar. This was his mother's birthday, was in 1882. His mother said that it would bring him good luck. Fred put a hole in the silver dollar and put it on a chain. He wore it around his neck every day. His son, Doug Sherman, still has this lucky silver dollar. The photo that I have enlarged was taken in St. John's, Newfoundland, shortly before Fred departed Canada for England. He was aboard the steamer Huronic, which was owned by the Canada Steamship Lines. Crossing the North Atlantic in 1942 was a dangerous journey. Enemy submarines were on the prowl. He could have been torpedoed at any time during this 8-day journey. How many of you here today have ever been seasick? I have. It is a terrible feeling, and you might not recover until you reach landfall. Remember, Fred was a prairie boy and had never seen the ocean before. Fred saw active service in France and Germany. He was awarded the 1939-1945 Star, the France and Germany Star, the Defense Medal, and the Canadian Volunteer Service Medal and Clasp. I have only one story from Fred that he told his family. It is not a pretty story, and it may make you sad. War is not glorious and fun. It is cruel and hard and full of suffering. In 1945, the German army was in full retreat. In each city that they abandoned, they left behind snipers and sharpshooters to kill Allied soldiers that were advancing. Fred and his partner were assigned the job of clearing out these German snipers. They went from house to house and took turns. One stayed on the ground floor, and the other one went upstairs. In this particular case, Fred stayed on the main floor, while his friend went up the stairs. Gunfire soon followed. Fred knew that his friend had been shot. Fred stayed quiet and he waited 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then down the stairs came 2 German soldiers. Fred did not hesitate. He was a soldier. He followed orders. He shot them both and killed them. Dead. Think about it. How would you feel? It makes me feel a little sick. In the movies, the soldiers are shown firing machine guns or dropping bombs. You do not see who you are killing. Although Fred spoke little of his time overseas, his military service affected him profoundly. Most of his memories were ones he did not wish to share. Maybe now you know why. Fred was discharged from the Canadian Army on May 27, 1946. He returned to his parents, who were now living on a farm at Neville. He worked as a mechanic first for Bob Murphy and later at the Schneider Garage at Neville. In 1953, he married Anna Allen and raised 3 sons. In 1965, Fred and Anna moved to Success, Saskatchewan, where he owned his own garage. Fred was a member of the Royal Canadian Legion and was a past president of the Neville Branch, number 328. Today, his son, Douglas Sherman, is president of our branch of the Royal Canadian Legion. Fred Sherman died in 2008. He is buried beside his wife Anna and his parents at the Neville Cemetery. I would like to end this talk with a short poem. For us they died, their splendid lives cut short, that we, their children and grandchildren, might see a bright new age of peace, and singing enter in. Untouched are they by time or grief, their souls can never fret. It is not they who fail or fall, but we, if we forget. Author unknown. Thank you very much.
We'll never have a future if we don't remember the past.
Talk of trouble is sent through the country, and we need an army to fight for the right. Young men enlist and are sent to the battle to fight the offender and help our allies.
Comrade is a comrade.
And the young men cry, oh Canada, we'll gladly go and fight for thee. And the young men cry, oh Canada, we'll fight to keep you free.
So I lost a brother here, so that's why it's so important.
The battle's raging, gunfire is blazing. A tired young soldier is clinging to life. He's ordered on and obeys by advancing. No hope of returning from the enemy fire.
The good ones are here. That's what you think about.
The soldier cries, oh Canada, if it must be so, I'll die for thee. And the soldier cries, oh Canada, I'll die to keep you free. And we own this, oh Canada, the land where we all used to be. And we all long for Canada, the true north, strong and free.
The 3 PPCLI battle group will remain steadfast in our mission.
I'm gonna miss him very much. I loved him very, very much.
The king is dead. Long live the king.
Say hi, Dyer. Rest in peace, Ainsworth. Your work is all done here.
Our spirit is not shaken, our resolve unwavering.
Seen a great danger, and yet there's a danger much greater within. The noise we make as we constantly bicker would hush not a whisper if we listen to hear.
Days like these make me proud to be a soldier.
All the thousands cry, oh Canada, is that why we have died for thee? And the soldiers cry, oh Canada, we died to keep you free.
It's amazing to know that people actually support what we're doing.
And the soldier cries, oh Canada, you're true and strong for me.
We join in thanking you, O God, for this land in which we live, the blessings of which we so often take for granted. Open our eyes to see and appreciate the price that was paid for it. Let us never assume that we can have anything for nothing, but sustained by our faith in your goodness, may hope with sure confidence that we may play our part without hesitation and share in the glory of you have prepared for those who are faithful unto death. We ask in the name of our ever-living God, Jesus Christ. Amen.
hope for years to come, our shelter from the stormy blast, in our eternal home. Under the shadow of thy throne, thy saints have dwelt secure. Sufficient is thy arm alone, and our defense is sure. Before the hills in order stood, or earth received a frame. From everlasting thou art God, to endless years the same. A thousand ages in thy sight are like an evening gone, short as the watch that ends the night before the rising sun. O God, our help in ages past, our hope for years to come. Be thou our God while life shall